This tutorial will show you how to prepare a scanned image. This one happens to be a watercolor inked original artwork. So I will go ahead and unlock my layer. I have a method of kind of working in certain steps. I like to crop first, so that way I'm not working on spaces that I wouldn't necessarily use. So I'm going to use my marquee tool to come in and just select my motif, image crop, and now I have just the motif with which I can work. The other thing that I want to do is to get rid of the background, because when I arrange the motif, I would like to be able to not have that white rectangle as a border or as a boundary. So I'm going to use my magic wand tool, which I use an awful lot when I'm cleaning up my images. Now, if I click contiguous, when I go and check in an area, it means only the pixels that are connected to that area will be selected. In this instance, the color of the background is also kind of seen through the top part of that sea urchin. So I definitely want to make sure that I have contiguous checked. And there is some variation to the background, so I might have to use it a couple times. I've unlocked my layer. Click on here, just hit delete on my keyboard. My background goes away. And it's looking pretty good. I can go in, let me zoom in a little bit. I can go in and use the magic wand and hit shift and select multiple selections at the same time and delete those. So now to my eye, looks pretty good. But I always check, and I've learned this because of many mistakes that I have made, and it's not until I put a background color on that I realized that I hadn't completely cleaned away the background image. So what I do is I add another layer, bring that layer behind my motif, and I select a bright layer to fill behind it. So if I just go to Edit Fill, I can fill it with my foreground color. Let me do that again. I didn't have the whole thing selected. I was still in the selection from the magic wand tool. Here's my layer, select all, get the whole thing selected. Now I can go into Edit Fill. Now you can see there's all these smudge marks here of where I didn't actually clean. So I'm going to make sure I'm on the right layer. A couple different tools that I can use. I can use my rectangular marquee tool and come in. Again, and deselect. I can use that to create a space and delete. The other tools that are helpful, I can use my eraser tool. With this, I can set the size. I can also select the hardness of the eraser itself. So I'm still able to get in here and clean up my image. Get in here, clean this up, zoom in a little more. Now there are all sorts of tools that I can use. So if I went back in here and used my magic wand tool, I could get into some of these details and clean it this way. Again with my eraser. Now for the purposes of this video, I'm not going to get too crazy with cleaning all the stray pixels. I just wanted to show you that trick of using a brighter colored background to check on your cleaning. So I need to come up here. There are multiple methods for cleaning up an image. You could use a mask. You could use your magnetic lasso tool to make selections. I do like the magic wand for the quick first go to get rid of most of the background. I do use my magnetic lasso tool a lot because it clings right along that contrasting line. And depending on how big your finished motif is going to be when you print it, kind of helps you determine the level of cleaning that you need to do. I could go in and view it by pixels and get rid of all of those stray pixels one by one. But again, for speed in moving on to the next videos, I'll keep it pretty simple right here. Let's do this last little bit. Okay, so let's assume I went in and had gotten all my edges set. I can go ahead and delete that colored layer now because I don't need it anymore. And now I have my motif that's ready to work with. Now there are lots of different things I can do to my motif at this point. I could go into Image Adjustments, Hue Saturation, and I can play around with the color and the saturation and the relative lightness and darkness. You can really get a whole variation of colors within your hue saturation slides. I'm going to keep it right about there. That seems okay to me, so I'm going to click OK. I'm going to save this as production ready motif. It's the sea urchin. Now from here, I also have the option to go ahead and color reduce this image. So say I wanted to do multiple colorways, I could reduce it down to a certain amount of colors so I could replace those colors out. I will provide another video for that. At this point, this image is ready to then define it as a pattern and put it into repeat, which will be the following videos that we do. So this is it for your cleaning up a scanned image. Bye.